There's a teenager sitting in a cafeteria full of people, surrounded by noise, laughter, conversations, and they have never felt more alone in their life. Not because nobody talks to them. People do. But every conversation feels like watching a movie through glass. They can see it, hear it, but they can't feel it. And the worst part, they think something is wrong with them. Nothing is wrong. Their brain is just running software that nobody else in the room has installed yet. In 2007, a research team at the National Institute of Mental Health published a landmark study on cortical development in children and adolescents. They scanned the brains of over 300 young people, from average to highly intelligent. What they found was striking. The brains of highly intelligent teenagers developed differently. Not faster, differently. Their cortical thickness peaked later. Their neural pruning was more aggressive. Their prefrontal cortex matured on a completely different timeline than their peers. In simple terms, their brain was building a more complex operating system, and it took longer to install. But here's the social cost. While that system is loading, they're sitting in classrooms with people running a simpler version, and the two systems don't speak the same language. The smart teenager hears a joke, and instead of laughing, their brain is already analyzing the structure of the humor, the social dynamics behind it, the reason it was told in the first place. By the time they respond, the moment has passed. They're not slow. They're processing at a depth that social timing doesn't allow for. And that gap between processing depth and social speed is where loneliness is born. But the processing gap is only the beginning, because there's a second mechanism that makes the smartest teenagers feel completely invisible, even to their own friends. Here's something psychology doesn't talk about enough. Intelligent teenagers don't avoid connection. They crave it, desperately. But they crave a specific kind of connection that barely exists at their age. A 2016 study published in the British Journal of Psychology found something counterintuitive. For most people, more social interaction led to more happiness. Simple equation: more friends, more joy. But for highly intelligent individuals, the opposite was true. More social interaction with people they couldn't connect with deeply actually decreased their life satisfaction. Let that sink in. For a smart teenager, being surrounded by people who don't understand them is worse than being alone. Their brain has a higher threshold for what counts as meaningful connection. Surface-level conversations about trends, gossip, and social media don't register. Their neural reward system literally doesn't fire. It's like being hungry at a table full of food you're allergic to. You can see it, you can smell it, but it can't nourish you. So they withdraw. Not out of arrogance, not out of shyness, out of neurological starvation. Their brain is starving for depth in a world that only serves surface. So they process too deeply for social timing, and they need a kind of connection that doesn't exist around them. But the third layer is the cruelest, because it turns their greatest strength into a weapon against themselves. There's a phenomenon in psychology called hypersocial perception. Most people interact with others at face value. Someone smiles, they see a smile. Someone says, "I'm fine," they accept it. Smart teenagers don't. Their pattern recognition is overdeveloped. They see the micro-expression behind the smile. They hear the pitch shift in "I'm fine." They notice that the laugh was half a second too late to be genuine. They see through people, involuntarily. And that sounds like a superpower, until you realize what it actually costs. When you can read everyone in the room, but no one can read you, you become a mirror that never gets reflected back. Everyone feels seen by you, but you feel seen by no one. Research on gifted adolescents shows that this asymmetry, understanding others far better than being understood, is one of the strongest predictors of teenage isolation. It's not that nobody likes them, it's that nobody knows them. And there's a specific kind of loneliness reserved for people who are surrounded by others and still completely unknown. Psychologists call it existential isolation. Teenagers just call it being the weird kid. So if you're a teenager who sits in a room full of people and still feels alone, or if you know one, understand this. They're not antisocial. Their brain processes at a depth that makes small talk feel like static. They're not picky. Their neural reward system requires a kind of connection most people won't offer until adulthood. They're not cold. They see so much in others that they've forgotten anyone could see them back. They don't have fewer friends because they're flawed. They have fewer friends because their brain charges a higher price for admission. And one day, when the world catches up to their wavelength, they'll find their people. Not many, but enough. Same brain, different frequency. The signal was never broken. It was just ahead of its time. If you finally understand why the smartest kid in the room is often the loneliest, share this. They need to know they're not broken. And subscribe, because every week we decode the neuroscience nobody else explains.